Hi guys, Rich from Art Smart. Welcome back to another YouTube video. So this is actually going to be a little bit of a different video because what our media team have done is they've been searching high and low on Google for your most searched terms with relation to smart home systems, and we're going to do our best to answer those for you now. So is home automation worth it? Well, if you're a busy guy like I am, with lots of things to do every day, just walking out of your house, doing a double tap all off and your house shutting down, my answer would be yes, home automation is worth it. I suppose it depends on your living circumstances, where you're at financially in life, where you're at in life, and what you want your home to do for you. If your home is just a quick pit stop on a dumping ground, home automation is probably not going to be worth it. However, if you're a busy individual, living in a home with a family, you love your tech, you love your gadgets, you want some security and some cool AV, then absolutely AV is going to be worth it. So is home automation safe? There's two sides to this question. Number one, is it safe from a physical side, from a physical safety side? And number two, is it going to be safe from a cyber security perspective? I'm going to answer the second one first because it's probably the most interesting and the one that most people are worried about. Can a smart home be hacked? The answer to that is it depends on what kind of smart home you've got. If you have got a Control4 smart home installed by Outdo Smart, then the chances out of that system getting hacked are going to be absolutely slim to none. So the reason behind this is because Control4 invests a lot of money in the cybersecurity side of things, and it's also because we install a rack in people's home, your smart home is actually within your own home. So because we're not relying on cloud services and because it's not having to go back to Amazon or anything like that, all of the information is stored locally. So is it physically safe, your smart home? Well, from an electric shock perspective, because people assume electronics, the simplest way to explain that is the majority of your smart home system actually works on what's called ELV, which is extra low voltage. So there isn't a voltage in there which could give you an electric shock. For instance, a buzz lighting keypad system only runs at 48 volts, which is why it's safe for us to install that within a bathroom space. The rest of the lighting and stuff is just the same as is an electrical installation safe. Obviously, at Smart, we only use trained professionals that are registered to governing bodies and have done adequate training. And obviously, because we're working to Outdo Smart standards and things are all being done properly, your smart home will be safe. So is home automation a good business? Well, I mean, 5 years in, we've made a pretty good business for myself, but I suppose that is all down to how much effort you want to put in, how persistent you are, how willing you are to pick yourself up when you've had failures, same as any business. Is any business a good business? If you're passionate about something, care about it as deeply within your soul as I do, and you're willing to make it work, it's a great business. Over the last 5 or 10 years, things have really heated up in the smart home space, and that is only going to get bigger and bigger over the next couple of years. So yeah, the smart home isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If you want to get some little tips to help you along your way because you're thinking of moving into this industry, our online training academy is a great resource of help and knowledge. So what smart home system is best? Now, I may be a little bit biased when I tell you this, but obviously when I was doing research before I moved into this industry, I checked out all the different manufacturers, all the different products, and tried to find the product that offered the most value to my clients, but also had the most rich feature list. And I didn't get ever a situation where customers said, oh, can it do this? And I had to tell them no. So that brand was Control4. And over the last 5 years, we have built our full business model solely around the Control4 platform for home automation. Now, we decided as a business to leave all the lower end products out of it. So that's the stuff you can get from Alexa, John Lewis, Amazon, all those kind of places. And that's because a lot of those products need 4 or 5 apps to make them work together, but also because they rely on cloud servers or being connected to the cloud, and also because of people like Amazon and Google stealing your data. So the Control4 system, it's all locked into the rack, everything's on there, it will communicate with the Control4 cloud servers, but all that information stays private, and your smart home, if the internet goes down, will still work because all the core components are in your rack, so you can still turn your lights on. So will my smart home work with my Apple or Android device? Now, I'm not here for the Apple or Android debate, but anybody that knows me will know that I'm fully in the Apple camp. However, it will fully work with both Apple and Android devices, so the application is available on both platforms on the Control4 system. Does a smart home require internet to work? Again, we've covered this in some of the other questions, but on a Control4 system, your smart home it will work without an internet connection because the processor, the brain of the system, is hosted locally and not in the cloud. That will mean your lights will continue to work, your TVs will continue to work, and your heating will continue to work. Now, things such as music that maybe use cloud services or Netflix that is using a cloud service, that will stop working, but that's completely fine because it would stop working in a normal house all the same. Is a smart home going to save you money? Now, this is actually a question that I see a lot of companies saying, oh, install smart lighting, save yourself thousands. And unfortunately, the most of that is bullshit. We will never say that smart home is going to save you money because the time that's going to take to recoup your investment, so your return on investment is going to be years. What smart home is going to do is going to save you time, and that time you can go out and make more money. So yeah, like I said, I do see a lot of people touting that smart homes can save you money, but ultimately you've got a rack or lighting panels or processors or timers or whatever that are running in the background to obviously pull those lights off sooner. Some of the ways that it can save you a little bit of money though is motion sensors on your bathroom lights, or if the kids left the lights on, it will turn the lights off. You could have timers that automatically bring the blinds down if your heating gets too hot in the house in summer, which is going to stop the air conditioning kicking in. Likewise in winter, it can bring the blinds down to keep the heat in because of the thermal properties. But in all honesty, in the grand scheme, is a smart home going to save you money? The answer will be no. So will the smart home increase the value of my property? And this is a great one. Obviously, anything that you put into your property naturally increase the value of it to a certain level. But what smart home's really going to do with your property is increase the saleability and the street presence, and are people going to want to buy that? So if I was looking at two properties on Rightmove or Zoopla, and I could see one had speakers installed, one had data cables wired around the house for Wi-Fi, one had a gate intercom system or CCTV or security, I would like to buy that house because I can move in and not have to do much. So a smart home is going to add value to your property, but it's also going to help you sell your property faster. Now, if you are in two minds as to whether the answer to this question is true or not, the way that we do our smart homes, our racks are actually unpluggable and you can take them away with you. So for whatever reason, it didn't add the value you expected it to, you can unplug it, take it to your next house and plug it into your new termination box. Can smart locks be hacked? I'd probably say it'd be easier to smash it off. Same as any kind of lock security. Anybody with a drill or hammer or a crowbar will be able to get into your property much faster than they'll be able to hack one of these devices. I can't speak for all of the smart locks that are available on the internet or on Amazon, but I know the smart locks that we install as a business are obviously tested to certain levels, have certain levels of security behind them, and are also encrypted, so it'll be a little bit harder to hack. So do smart homes use a lot of electricity? You actually surprisingly no. You may have seen one of our big racks that actually only draws an amp or 2 amps when it's in standby mode. When that's actually been used, when the amps are music and stuff, it may draw a couple more amps. But on a whole, in standby, a smart home is not going to add a lot to your energy consumption. So what happens to my smart home if I have a power cut? Well, if it is a smart home, then we install a UPS battery backup in, which will usually give you a half-an-hour runtime to keep things such as your security and your Wi-Fi online. And then we start doing a phase shutdown on a rack using the power distribution to take non-essential services offline to try and get you as long as possible on there. Now, when your rack comes back online, the power distribution unit is going to do a safe start and it's going to boot things up in the correct order so things come back online. All of our systems are covered by remote monitoring, so we know when your system goes off and when it comes back on, and you can obviously contact our support if anything doesn't come back on in the right order. If you haven't gotten that smart home, or it's just IoT devices off Amazon and Google, every man for himself. Will a smart home change my life? So yes, absolutely it's going to change your life. It's a very different way of living. I know a lot of our customers that we speak to a year later down the line, 2-3 years later when we do the service, they say that it's a very different way of living. Obviously, they couldn't go back to living in a normal house because they've got the convenience of the all-off button by the front door, the luxury of having their own cinema at home so they don't need to take the kids out. They've got playrooms that when they come home and turn the all-on scene on, puts kids programs on in the playroom, kids run off in there, and it's just a very nice, easy, convenient way of living, especially with things such as your outside lights automatically coming on, your blinds coming down or your curtains drawing at sunset. There are lots of little features that once you've had a smart home are going to be very hard to go back to not having. So what will smart homes look like in the future? Now, obviously the voice assistance and voice control has played a massive part in what people think is a smart home over the last couple of years. The problem is with the voice assistants, everybody's concerned about their security and privacy. But there's a company over in America called Josh.ai who do very high-end, secure, private voice control and don't sell your data to third parties. That is taking a little while to come over to the UK because of GDPR and the likes. But if that does, that will play a key part in our smart homes. Aside from that, some things such as security upgrades, such as using thermal imaging or biometric access. Things that you used to just see in the movies are now part of normal day life on smart homes. Are smart home tech devices invading our privacy? Now, we actually only have, despite the of hundreds of smart homes that we've got out there in the field, we only have one. Yes, one client has an Alexa or Google Home connected to the home automation system. So that kind of level of the smart home world, that is where most people know about smart home or will find their feet. It's obviously a little bit gimmicky, but have you ever said something in a conversation at home with your partner and then 2 or 3 days later it appears as an Amazon ad on Facebook? Obviously, things like that, people know that your smart home devices are listening. They just choose to ignore it. However, for the majority of our clients, they wouldn't have a smart home device, listening device installed in their home. So what qualifies as a smart home? Now, if you want to put a couple of smart bulbs in, pair it to a little smart switch, I suppose to a certain extent you have got a smart home. However, for us, a smart home is a bit more of a fully integrated experience where you've got all the devices working together. Again, people have got this assumption that because they've got an app on the phone that can turn the lights on, it is a smart home. No, you've just got an app on your phone that turns your lights on. What you end up having with that is an app that turns your heating on, an app that opens your garage door, an app that can close your blinds, and you end up with lots of different apps on your phone. So the system we use, which is a platform called Control4, ties all those apps together, pulls it all into a single platform with their products and the third-party products that work with it, and gives a single integrated experience. Now that for me is a smart home. Are smart homes expensive? Well, in all honesty, if you're gonna have to ask the question, you probably can't afford it. It's probably a bit like saying, are Lamborghinis expensive? Or are Ferraris expensive? Depends who you're asking. So for a normal person, Ferrari is probably expensive. However, there are some people that could buy a Ferrari in 4 different colours. I suppose for the average Joe, a proper integrated smart home is unfortunately just gonna be a dream. But yeah, there are lots of people out there that can afford a smart home. So how long have smart homes been around? Well, this is actually a really interesting one because most people actually think that smart homes have only been out for 2 or 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 years. That is because of the big boom over the last couple of years, because of the lower end IoT devices, which has made smart home systems more accessible to the general public. Smart home systems and technology systems such as companies like Control4. Now Control4 has been in the UK since early 90s, so almost for 30 years. Other brands have been about for longer. I mean, Neutron actually invented its first dimmer switch back in the 1960s and have been progressing on their technology ever since then. We've actually upgraded and ripped out systems that have been in 30 years. So smart homes for the super rich and famous have been about for many, many years. The higher end products have actually come down a lot over the last 10 years, and innovation and tech, it's all got generally cheaper. So smart will become a lot more affordable, which is why you see more of them. But the technology itself and the general basics of a smart home has been about for years. So we've just answered some of the general questions off Google. However, if you've got a smart home question you want answering, get in the comments below, put your question, and then we'll do another video and answer them. See you on the next one.